Hey everyone, thanks for joining me in another video. In this one, we're going to go capture a sunrise by the sea back in my old stomping grounds on the east coast of Australia, Cathedral Rocks, Kiama. Now, I had my daughter Aurora joining me on this one, and I got to admit it was a little bit emotional returning here because this is really the area where my photography journey began. Most of you might know me as the guy that photographs the South Island of New Zealand, and indeed that's where I live and have been living for over 8 years now. But originally, all my photography was based on the coast. So in this video, you'll get a glimpse into how I like to capture seascape scenes, and stay tuned towards the end because I'm going to share with you a few additional tips for sunrise and seascape photography. All right, let's get out into the field and I'll see you soon. Doing good. Woo! My daughter Aurora is joining me. She's eight and a half. This is where I used to do my photography back in those early years, long before she was born. It's quite sentimental coming back and bringing her with me. Such a good seascape location, one of the best in the country, world class. So I was here yesterday morning and I used the 100 to 400 mil. Completely different perspective on the beach, but this morning I'm going for the classic 12 to 24 classic wide angle scene, and we'll play around with this water flow. One real big consideration is, do you want to photograph the water coming in or going away? When I first started, I'd always get the water flowing towards me, but the last few years I've really preferred it as it's drawing away with a slower shutter, and it just really pulls the eye through the frame into the background. It doesn't look like much, a little gap like that, but down low with a wide angle, that little gap is a channel that you can utilize to pull the eye through, to create some balance, getting low with the wide. You really need to observe where the water is flowing in and out of on these rocks, because that can be your foreground. A little bit far back from the stacks, might move closer if I can. The juggling act with a wide angle is, you know, fitting in the foreground and midground, but not having the background too small. I really like this natural frame here. When I would shoot here back in the day, I only had a 16 to 35. Now that I have a 12 mil, it's actually opened up a few more compositional options, allowing me to get a frame like this where I'm getting this foreground as well as the background, and just a bit of a natural frame in general. Man, we've been blessed with a great sky as well. Wow. Take your camera. Oi. Just watch your head. Nice, look at that. Oof, on those sharp rocks. Have a look at this comp. Look at that sky, Rory. Woo-wee! The light is just peaking right now. I'm moving down to face the sun more directly. Woo! Come around this side, Rory. Just trying to position myself. Ah, look at that. Good work, Rory, don't slip over. We'll get this on the way out, guys, when it retreats. Here we go. Half a second, F18, ISO 100. How you doing?
Very good.
Just stay on that dry rock, okay? I'm just going to move a bit closer. Probably regret it, but anyway. Wow. Sun alignment's really good this time of year. Just moving in a bit closer here. Let's see what happens with this wave. Deja vu, man. I've done this a million times here. Crazy. Here we go. Head back. Whey! Now we're feeling alive. That just brings back some memories, mate. Oh, the light on that water pulling me in. Look at the light on the foreground up here. Gonna have to capture this somehow. Whoa! That'll do it. Oh well, if you're gonna get wet, you might as well get the shot. Woo! It's better. Last one before the next wave comes in. All right, that one's way too big. Whoa! Oh man, just got to get one more there. I think I was a bit too low. Watch this. We're gonna keep this lens dry, guys. Once this 12mm gets wet, it's game over. We're not gonna be able to clean it properly. Here we go. Ah, mate. How good. That just takes me back to 2012, 2013, 2014, the many times I just shot sunrises here. I've always liked it that way, just getting in there, getting wet amongst the action. Oh, unbelievable. We might even have a photo to keep there. The alignment at the moment with the sun right between the stacks, just the right time of year for that. I love getting the heart rate up. It's always been a part of my photography.
This is my collection of shells. I've got this one. I think it's my biggest shell. It's very wet. And I've got this one that Daddy found. I've got this green one. It's one of my favorites. It's the one that stands out the most because I love collecting shells, especially when it's like this. It's a perfect time to collect shells.
Thanks for joining me out there. That was so fun. And what you saw there was really how I've always kind of captured the coast, just especially being barefoot, or if it's really cold water, I'll wear waders. But I think it's critical to get amongst the water if you can. It really makes a difference, especially with wide angle photography, to be immersed in the landscape and have that foreground directly beneath you. So when it comes to water flow, and a wide angle lens, if the water's a couple of feet in front, it will look too small and too distant. You really want it right there at your feet. So if you can get yourself in the water and have the water surrounding you and time your exposures as the water is drawing away, you'll get a really pleasing result. And as you would have heard me mention out there, experiment with different shutter speeds. If you're capturing the water coming in towards you, I find you don't want the shutter speed too slow because we lose all the texture and detail. So when that water's rushing in, it's moving very fast, so we can have a faster shutter speed. 1/10 of a second, 1/8, 1/5, somewhere in that ballpark. If we're capturing the receding water, we'll probably want to slow the shutter down more to create that drag in that pool. That's where you want to be 1/4, half a second, 0.8, 1 or 2 seconds, somewhere within that range. So make sure you experiment with that. With seascapes, if you want to capture the power of the waves, that's where typically you'd use faster shutter speeds and actually freeze the waves themselves. 500th of a second minimum, 800, 1,000. It really depends how close you are to the water and how tight you're zoomed in. So a lot of my telephoto wave images, they're at 2,000th of a second or even more because I'm shooting at 200, 300, 400 mil, sometimes even 800 mil. So the speed and movement of that water across the lens is incredibly quick. So you need a really fast shutter speed to freeze those water droplets and those little details there. When it comes to capturing the sunrise itself and looking straight at the sun, which is what I obviously like to do, especially for these seascape scenes, looking directly at your sunrise or sunset, it's a backlit environment. We have a big dynamic range, so I typically just shoot a single exposure and I'm exposing for the highlights. So I'm letting in light and adjusting my settings accordingly, monitoring my histogram and not letting any more light in once I see that the histogram is starting to get too bright on that highlight side. That's where I stop. And then those dark shadows, which will look quite dark on the back of the camera, I just reveal those details in post. And if you have a modern camera, a camera that's made within the last 10 years, you should have enough dynamic range to shoot that way, to shoot for the highlights and then reveal those details in post. Now, if your camera is struggling severely, you will need to bracket, take multiple exposures and then blend them. And that's what I had to do in my early years of photography. It's been really nice not having to do that for quite some time. But just keep it in mind, if your camera is really struggling and you have an older camera, especially an older DSLR, you might not have the dynamic range there. You may need to take one exposure for the sky, separate exposure for the shadows, but you'll be surprised, like I said, modern cameras with big dynamic ranges, what you can reveal in the shadows and how low the noise is. I have no problem at all using that technique for pretty much all my photography, creating large prints, and it's absolutely fine. So just keep it in mind, and it won't look that great back of the camera. The shadows will be dark. You just have to trust the histogram, shoot for the highlights, reveal the details in post, and then hopefully you can see that everything is in there. When you get to location for one of these shoots and you're shooting straight at the sunrise or sunset, definitely if you're not familiar with the area, you want to get there at least half an hour before the light, the sun hits the horizon. Once you get more experience, you'll probably find that generally, for me anyway, the best light is when the sun is right on the horizon, because you get that light not only in the cloud, in the sky, you get the light just skimming across your foreground and the water and different parts of the landscape. Some people talk about the pre-dawn color, the pre-sunrise color, or post-sunset color. Yes, the higher cloud will get that color when the sun is much below the horizon, but you're not getting any light on the landscape. And for me personally, as you can see in the image that we created in the video, the chef's kiss was that golden light just skimming the foreground there, and that happens when the sun is just on the horizon. So just keep that in mind. I don't think there's any need to get to these locations an hour before sunrise in the dark, wandering around. I think you'll find the inspiration and compositional ideas come best when the light is doing its thing, and then you can react in real time how the light is hitting certain parts of the landscape. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out this video. There's a little bit emotional going there with my daughter, and I had a flood back of all the memories. So many memories, guys. It's hard to really explain. And lots of just fond moments with the camera. When I first got into photography, it was, and still is, it was an outlet. And the time I spent out there, it really just helped me. Yeah, I don't have the words to express it all, but I've always tried to channel my thoughts, my emotions, the the way I view the world, my spiritual life, into the photography. And it's been, you know, almost 15 years now, and I still have that connection with it, even though I do this as a career, doing this professionally. I haven't lost that connection, that outlet that photography is. And I always told myself if I lost that, then I'd probably stop doing it full time, because that's more important to me, to have photography as an outlet. I think we all need an outlet in one way or another. So hopefully for you, it is photography, and I'm glad you found it, and I'm glad you're watching this video. So thank you. I hope you enjoy a few more. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. It helps the video, helps the algorithm. Thumbs up and subscribe. Share the video around, guys. It means a lot. I'll see you soon. Cheers.